I could see her as a slave learning English, or how did she learn poetry?
Oh, okay. So that's fast. So the Wheatleys, as a family, were very interested in education, and both of the Wheatley children were well educated. And the Wheatley's daughter was kind of brought up with Phillis Wheatley though she was somewhat older, but took an interest in her education, and the whole family did. And according to some of her earliest biographers, she was quickly removed from most of the household activities that she had been enslaved for, and instead became more of a companion for the Wheatley children. But she was educated at home and received what would have been an extraordinary education for any person in Boston in the 1770s, and let alone, I'm going to say, really quite extraordinary. At the time Wheatley arrived in Boston, the population was just over 15,000, and about 1 in 15 people were enslaved in Boston, and the number of freed black citizens in Boston would have only numbered in the dozens in the 1760s. And what you present too is an interest, a subject that has occupied scholars for some time, and that is trying to figure out what Wheatley's relationship is, or interest in advocating for abolition through her poetry across her career. A bit, I mean, it takes us into a slightly different direction, but I think that's a fabulous observation on Washington's own difficult relationship, right, with slavery in that period. What else do you notice about the poems? What's the experience like reading them? What's it feel like?
Well, how thoroughly drenched they are in the classical imagery. The muse, all the nation states referred to as Britannia, Helvetia, Scotia, Germania. She's clearly, got the Roman coes in her back. That's it. That's what it seems like.
Absolutely.
She wants to do. She loves a rhyming couplet.
She does, right?
But how formal it is. This is a really formal ode in a very classical vein.
Oh, it is, absolutely.
This is white guy poetry. Not to
right.
refine a point.
No, right, but this is, she's been reading Pope and Milton, right, and she's emulating what is considered to be the most sophisticated form of English verse at the time. So she's not just writing poetry, she's writing dense, elusive poetry that's the height of English. Yeah.
And war itself it's not glamorized, but it's promoted or supported, I think, and surrounded and buttressed by the beauty of her language.
Yes, now sheathe the sword that bade the brave atone with guiltless blood for madness not their own.
Right?
Yeah, it's not your fault. Whatever you get.
Right, and for the English soldiers, the British soldiers who died too for the empire. That's in the second poem you're reading from through on liberty and peace. Right, these are poems that deal with the war, but it's a very heroic tone, and war itself is the occasion for celebrating heroism, for acknowledging this victory. But we don't linger on the dark reality, the gruesome reality of what has been going on to create
The Hills is Dead, right, and at the end of the
right
first page.
Absolutely, yeah. I wanted to think a little bit too, particularly liberty and peace, about the way that Wheatley thought of America's status in the world. I know we'd already talked a little bit about Hibernia, Ireland, right? Gallia, Britannia. We have this sort of a real interest in Europe in particular. What is, for Wheatley, America's status in this world? At least in the poem.
Can you repeat the question?
How do these poems, or what might these poems suggest about the way that Wheatley sees America's status in the world? What is this? Where does this country fit in this new nation?
that there's something to admire about the United States. She writes that, and great Germania's ample coast admires the generous spirit that Columbia fibers. That there's really this deep spirit and energy of the United States that's admirable.
Good. And in the old world now, looking back or looking across now to this country, it has that sort of this is a new place that is now worthy of your interest and time and attention. It seems. Yeah. Good. What else do we get about?
And not just the new place, I guess a newborn Rome, which is sort of a reincarnation of the decadent European society, sort of reinstituting the Roman ideal and the new empire.
Yeah, good. Rome, I mean, and that's a fabulous observation, because Rome becomes a really important touch point for the Republic, not just because of its success ultimately in empire, but what else is it about Rome that the early Republic admires? What else?
Well, the notion of democracy.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So a kind of government, right? Systems of government. We see this in the structure of elements of the United States government, in architecture, right? This is Rome still carries with it not just those fantastic classical connotations of success and empire and greatness, but also with a kind of governance, with a style of governance too, that we're interested in emulating and becoming a new Rome in a way.